My girlfriend cheated with her boss to get a promotion, then said it's what ambitious people do. I replied, congratulations on your success. Then I sent the proof to the boss's wife with a simple note, I think you should see this. The boss was fired and my ex's promotion was rescinded the same week. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Most of you watching still aren't subscribed, so if you're enjoying the stories, please consider hitting that sub button. I'm sitting on my couch in a dead quiet apartment staring at my laptop. On the screen is an email I sent about an hour ago. It had 2 attachments and only 1 sentence, and I think it was the most important email I'll ever send. My girlfriend of 3 years, Chloe 28F, just told me that sleeping with her boss was a justifiable career move. I'm 31M and I am still trying to process the level of crazy I just dealt with. Chloe has always been ambitious. It's one of the things I used to admire about her. She works in marketing at a big competitive firm downtown, and she's always been laser focused on climbing the ladder. Her boss Mark is one of those senior VP types in his late 40s, big watch, expensive suit, talks about synergy a lot. I always got a weird vibe from him, but I chalked it up to him just being a corporate shark. A few months ago, a colleague of Chloe's got a big promotion that Chloe had been gunning for. She was devastated, but it was more than that. She was angry. I remember her pacing our living room saying she didn't even deserve it. She's not better at the job. She just plays the game better. I need to figure out how to play the game. That should have been a massive red flag. Lately things had been different. She was working super late all the time, but when I'd ask what project she was on, she was weirdly vague. Then came the gifts. A new designer handbag, a gift certificate for a high-end spa. She told me they were new corporate perks for high performers. The biggest change was her phone. It was suddenly glued to her hand and always screened down on the table. The truth came out last night. It was late and she was in the shower. Her laptop was open on the coffee table. A notification popped up on the screen. A message from Mark Work. The preview was just 1 line. Can't wait for our next strategy session. My heart just sank. It was that gut feeling you get when you know something is wrong but you don't want it to be true. I told myself I was being crazy, but I had to know. My hands were shaking as I clicked on the message app. And there it was. A whole history. Dozens and dozens of messages. Explicit, detailed, undeniable. Texts about their meetings at hotels. Photos she'd sent him. And woven throughout it all were conversations about her promotion. He'd write things like, you keep me happy and I'll make sure you get that senior analyst spot. And she'd reply, I'm a team player. I felt sick. I almost smashed the laptop, but a different thought cut through the rage. Proof. I needed proof. I quickly forwarded the most damning half-dozen screenshots and 2 of the photos to a new email address I created on the spot. I then went into her folder and deleted the evidence of my forward. It was cold. It was calculated. I barely recognized myself. I waited for her to get out of the shower. She came into the living room in a robe, humming, and asked what I wanted to watch on TV. I just looked at her. My voice was flat. Congratulations on the promotion, Chloe. Her face flickered with confusion, then panic. What? I saw the texts, I said. With Mark. She didn't cry. She didn't deny it. She crossed her arms, a look of defiance on her face. And then she said it. The words that will be burned into my brain forever. Look, Tom, I get that you're upset. But this is the real world. This is how the game is played. It's what ambitious people do to get ahead. I just stared at her. She had cheated, she had betrayed 3 years of our life together, and she was framing it as a professional achievement. She truly felt justified. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just nodded slowly. Congratulations on your success, I said. The conversation was over. Our life was over. She thinks she won. She thinks I'm just gonna roll over and accept this. She has no idea what I was looking at on my laptop just before I started writing this post. See, her boss Mark is a married man and his wife Jennifer has a very public profile as a local charity organizer. Finding her was easy. Sending that email was even easier. The game isn't over. It's just getting started. Update 1. It's been 24 hours. The longest 24 hours of my life. I haven't slept. I've just been running on coffee and a cold hard sense of purpose. After our conversation last night, Chloe seemed almost relieved. She actually said, "I'm glad we got that out in the open." It's better to be honest. The level of delusion was staggering. She started packing an overnight bag and told me she was going to stay with her friend Amy for a few days to give me some space to process. She fully expected to come back. As she was leaving, she touched my arm and said, "Don't throw us away over this, Tom. This was a career move, not an emotional affair. It's just business." "You're right," I said, looking her dead in the eye. "It is just business." She smiled, thinking I understood. I helped her carry her bag to the door. As soon as she was gone, I finalized my plan. I had already found Mark's wife Jennifer online. She was on the board of a few major local charities and had a personal blog about her philanthropic work. On the blog's contact page was an email address. It felt like a sign. I opened the anonymous email account I'd created. I attached the screenshots of the texts and the two most damning photos. For the body of the email, I just wrote one line. "I'm sorry to be the one to send this, but I think you should see this." I stared at the screen for about 5 minutes, then I hit send. The feeling was not satisfaction, not yet. It was just gravity. Like I'd pushed a very large boulder off the top of a very high cliff. The first hint that the boulder had landed came around noon today. I got a text from a buddy of mine, Kevin, who works in the same company as Chloe and Mark but in a different department. His text said, "Dude, something crazy is going on here. Mark was yanked out of a meeting by someone from the main office an hour ago. Just saw him walk by with 2 people from HR and he looked like he was going to his own execution. Rumors are flying." I felt a grim smile touch my lips. The plan was in motion. The call from Chloe came at 4 p.m. She was hysterical. "Tom, what did you do?" She screamed into the phone. "Mark just called me. He's a mess. He said Jennifer knows. She knows everything." "How could she know? Did you tell someone?" I let her spiral for a moment before I answered, my voice calm. "I have no idea what you're talking about, Chloe. You were the one having the affair. These things have a way of getting out. Don't you lie to me," she shrieked. "This is because of you. Mark said his wife got an anonymous email. You did this. You're trying to ruin me." "Ruin you?" I said, turning her own logic back on her. "I thought this was a business transaction. You made a deal with Mark. It sounds like you just didn't account for all the variables. Maybe you should have done more research on your business partner's liabilities before you merged assets." She was sputtering, unable to form a coherent sentence. All she could manage was, "You'll regret this, Tom." "No," I said, and I'd never been more certain of anything in my life. "The only thing I regret is not seeing who you really were sooner. We're done, Chloe. Don't come back to the apartment." I hung up and immediately blocked her number. The boulder is still rolling. Update 2. It's been a week. A lot can happen in a week. The boulder I pushed off that cliff didn't just roll, it caused an avalanche. My friend Kevin at the company gave me the play-by-play. Jennifer, the wife, is apparently not someone to be trifled with. It turns out she's not just a charity organizer. Her father was the founder of a venture capital firm that was one of the earliest and largest investors in Chloe's company. Her family still holds a massive block of shares. Jennifer herself sits on 2 corporate boards. She isn't just a wife, she's a powerhouse. She didn't call Mark yelling and screaming. No, she was much smarter than that. She forwarded my email to her lawyer, who then contacted the company's board of directors directly. She didn't frame it as a simple affair. She framed it as a senior executive creating massive liability for the company, using company resources and promotions as currency for his personal misconduct and engaging in behavior that constituted a serious breach of his employment contract and their corporate ethics policy. Mark never stood a chance. He was fired by the end of the day. There was no severance package. The company-wide email that went out the next morning was beautifully corporate and vague. "Mark Smith is no longer with the company. We thank him for his contributions and wish him the best in his future endeavors." As for Chloe, the fallout for her was just as swift. With Mark gone, an interim VP was appointed. The first thing this new VP did was review all of Mark's recent personnel decisions. Chloe's promotion, which hadn't even been officially announced yet, was rescinded immediately pending a full departmental review. So she wasn't fired, but in some ways what happened was worse. She was sent back to her old desk in the middle of the open plan office. Everyone knew. The whispers followed her everywhere. She was the girl who'd slept with the boss and gotten him fired, all for a promotion that vanished into thin air. She was a pariah. I even got a taste of her new social status myself. One of her work besties sent me a furious message on social media calling me a vindictive monster for ruining Chloe's career. I sent back a single reply. Chloe called her actions ambitious. It turns out they were just a bad investment. Tell her I wish her success in her future endeavors. The friend blocked me. The final act happened yesterday. I got a text from Chloe's dad asking when would be a good time to get her things. I told him to come by on Saturday morning. He showed up alone looking tired and ashamed. We packed her stuff in silence. As he was leaving, he just shook his head and said, "I'm sorry, Tom, she wasn't raised like this." Just as he was about to close his truck door, Chloe herself pulled up in an Uber. She ran up to me, her face pale and angry. "You ruined my life," she yelled. "My career is over because of you." "No, Chloe," I said, not raising my voice. "Your career is in this state because you made a deal with a married man and it blew up. You gambled and you lost." I just showed the other players at the table what cards you were holding. She just stood there speechless for the first time since I've known her. I turned around, walked back into my apartment and locked the door. Final update: it has been 3 months. The dust has well and truly settled and I can finally see the landscape clearly. Chloe didn't last long at her job. According to my friend Kevin, she walked out 2 weeks after her things were moved out of my apartment. She couldn't take the glares, the whispers, and the isolation. She had made herself completely toxic. I heard she's living back at home with her parents, unemployed. The marketing and PR community in our city is small. A story like that involving a high-profile VP in a major company gets around. Her name is Mud. Mark, the ex-boss, is in even worse shape. His divorce is going to be legendary. Jennifer is not playing games. Her lawyers are making a case that his behavior jeopardized assets she has a stake in and they're going after everything. His career at that level is over. No one will touch him. As for me, I'm doing better than I'd ever expected. The first month was hard, untangling our lives and just dealing with the sheer shock of the betrayal. But now it feels like a massive weight has been lifted. I feel lighter. I actually got a promotion at my own job last month. One I earned by working hard and building good relationships, not by betraying people. The irony is not lost on me. Looking back, Chloe was right about one thing. It is a competitive world and you have to be ambitious. But there are 2 kinds of ambition. There's the kind where you build yourself up brick by brick through talent and hard work. And then there's her kind. The kind where you try to take a shortcut by tearing other people down or using them as stepping stones. Her ambition was a cheap knockoff of the real thing. She thought she was being a shrewd business person. But she was just being a bad partner. She made a high-risk, low-integrity investment and the market corrected itself. Sending that email wasn't just revenge. It was holding a mirror up to her and her boss and showing them exactly what they were. And I don't regret it for a second.